Imagine if there was one best place to see the northern lights. Overnight it would become the Costa del Aurora, with high-rise northern lights viewing hotels, and people in the street handing out leaflets offering a free drink. With every Aurora chase. Seeing the northern lights with your own eyes is a bucket list item for astronomy lovers and travelers. Mercifully, the unpredictable nature of the aurora means that it retains its mystical allure, and it's fair to say that you stand as much chance of seeing them from a vantage point in Norway as you do from a frozen lake. The northern lights are an atmospheric phenomenon that's regarded as the holy grail of skywatching, beautiful dancing ribbons of light that have captivated people for millennia. But for all its beauty, this spectacular light show is a rather violent event. The northern lights are created when energized particles from the sun slam into Earth's upper atmosphere at speeds of up to 45 million mph, 72 million kph. But our planet's magnetic field protects us from the onslaught. As Earth's magnetic field redirects the particles toward the poles, there are southern lights too. The dramatic process transforms into a cinematic atmospheric phenomenon that dazzles and fascinates scientists and skywatchers alike. The phenomenon is called the Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis, while in the southern hemisphere, it's called the Southern Lights, Aurora Australis. The bright colors of the northern lights are dictated by the chemical composition of Earth's atmosphere. Some of the dominant colors seen in aurora are red, a hue produced by the nitrogen molecules, and green, which is produced by oxygen molecules. While solar wind is constant, the sun's emissions go through a roughly 11-year cycle of activity. Sometimes there's a lull, but other times, there are vast storms that bombard Earth with extreme amounts of energy. This is when the northern lights are at their brightest and most frequent. Lucky for aurora hunters, we are currently approaching solar maximum, which is predicted to peak between early 2024 to late 2025. Scientists cannot pinpoint exactly when solar maximum will occur, but we do know it's on its way. Prediction Center, SWPC, recently issued a revised prediction that suggests solar maximum may occur between January and October 2024. If you're planning an aurora hunting trip, now is the time, as the next 5 years will be the most favorable for auroral sightings. Seeing the northern lights with your own eyes is a bucket list item for astronomy lovers and travelers. Fortunately, they occur frequently, but that doesn't mean they're easy to spot. You need to be at the right place at the right time. The best place to see the northern lights is any destination in the Auroral zone, the area within an approximately 1,550-mile, 2,500 kilometers, radius of the North Pole, according to the Troms Geophysical Observatory in Norway. That's where the aurora most frequently occurs, though the phenomenon can creep farther south during particularly strong solar storms. If planning a trip to see the northern lights, it's best to be as far away from city lights as possible to maximize visibility, but it's pretty tricky to get into the middle of the Arctic wilderness, even with a guide. So it's best to base yourself in a destination with solid infrastructure, like Fairbanks, Alaska, Yellowknife, Canada, Troms, Norway, Abisko National Park in Sweden, Rovaniemi, Finland, and pretty much anywhere in Iceland. The best time of year to see the northern lights is between September and April, when the sky gets dark enough to see the aurora. Far northern locales experience the midnight sun, or 24 hours of daylight in the summer. The most action usually happens between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m., according to the Geophysical Institute of the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Check local weather forecasts as well, because you won't be able to spot the aurora through the clouds. You can also monitor aurora forecasts from the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute and NOAA, which offers both 3-day and 30-minute forecasts. In Europe, the aurora is most frequently visible in northern Scandinavia in a band that stretches between 66 degrees N and 69 degrees N, which we call the aurora zone. The band can expand further south when geomagnetic activity is high, which is why we can occasionally see the aurora from northern parts of the UK. The displays we see in the UK are not only rare but also incredibly different to what our guests see in northern Scandinavia. In the UK, displays of the aurora are often confined to the northern horizon, which makes it difficult to see, especially in light-polluted areas. In northern Scandinavia, because you are situated within the aurora zone, the probability of seeing the Aurora Borealis increases dramatically, and often it will appear overhead and start dancing, just like you see in the viral Instagram videos. There is an increased chance of seeing the Aurora Borealis in northern Scandinavia over the next 4 years. The number of times the aurora is spotted from our destinations will increase, as will the strength of the storms. There hasn't been a better time to book your trip to and with the aurora zone. The auroral band stretches across Finland, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Greenland, and Canada. As a naturally occurring phenomenon, the appearance of the northern lights is notoriously difficult to predict any further in advance than about 2 days before it happens. If it does then happen, so much is dependent on solar activity, the position of the Earth's geomagnetic field, and the weather. What we can say is the aurora season begins in late August and runs all the way through until early April. During this time, if you have a clear sky, you have a fantastic chance of seeing the Aurora Borealis.